All right, so we've got one of our introductory co-working sessions here. Tyler, as one of our beta users, thank you for volunteering and showing up here. Hopefully we'll make it worth your while. And we've got Courtney as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. I watched the cold email implementation and looked at the outlines and everything. And Adam, we were kind of talking. I'm doing a full kind of ground up build of the outbound marketing for my business here. We've just kind of relied on referrals, and so getting into this stuff and learning kind of what's new out there is very exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Tyler, you and I met initially at one of the conferences, and then that's kind of transitioned over into this community, which is great. But ideally we get the community to a point where it works the other way, where the community relationships actually turn into the real world relationship. So
sure. Yeah.
I appreciate you hopping in, and we're going to continue to kind of flesh out what these live sessions will look like. I mean, worst case scenario, we've got lessons for each stream. Like this month, we're doing the outbound messaging, right? So today we're going to talk about cold email. And last week we went through just the copy. And I had you and some other people in our co-working session. We talked about basically the strategy for copy. And then I dropped the actual workshop, which kind of walks through our process for every piece of the anatomy of a cold email, right? The title, the pre-header, the intro, the proof, the close. So today, let's just have a chat about, maybe if you could start a little bit about your brokerage. I mean, you're starting from the ground up, which I love, but you're based in San Diego. Are you just local, or are you targeting nationwide niches? Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about whatever you're comfortable sharing. Sure. Whatever your niche is.
Sure. So we definitely have the ability to handle most things nationwide, but our business is SoCal business brokers. So we specialize 99% of the time in Southern California. So that's LA, Orange, Riverside, and San Diego County. That's where the majority of our deals come from. And we're generalists. So, that typically means we do manufacturing, e-commerce, distribution, wholesale, service businesses, professional service businesses, and things like that. So definitely keyed to Southern California. I think we're probably a bit of a smaller firm in the grand scheme of things. A pretty close-knit team, and we do maybe 10 to 15 deals a year. Whereas I know some of the larger brokerages that have, 700 or 800 agents underneath them are doing, they might have 30 listings at a time, and they're I think a little bit more volume based than we are. And so our goal is to find the quality businesses. We don't take every business to market that comes to us because, especially in Southern California, the cost of living is so high that, a business that's making $50,000 in seller's discretionary earnings, that's barely a competent wage, in this part of the country. And so that floor for us needs to be a little bit higher than potentially some other areas in the country.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good info. So less volume, more high touch, probably more hands-on with the engagements that you take. And that's interesting when you think about your outbound messaging, because ideally you're slipping in a little bit of qualification, lead qualification, as part of the copy, right? So If you can really fit that in there, where if you really don't want to work with companies that are not in a position to sell to a certain type of buyer, for example, because you have relationships with those larger buyers, then you'd ideally try to screen that out in your messaging wherever you can. Today we're talking cold email. So that first outreach to a cold prospect. We're not going to go through targeting and all of that, but you're signed on for the next 12 months. So you'll be there with all the streams. This month is all about the outbound messaging, but we'll have targeting as one of the monthly streams. And when we do, let's make sure we revisit that so that we can try to make sure that we're screening out the types of deals that you won't look at. So for boutiques, your time is your most valuable asset. Obviously, if you don't have the resources that the larger franchises have, but you have to go through all these deals, you want to do as much of that lead qualification. You want to automate as much of that lead qualification as you can up front. And so hopefully we'll be able to help you do that. And we'll do that with copy today, but then down the road, when we do the targeting stream, things like Boolean search, right? Like weeding out gas stations. And private companies are tough with financial metrics. You can use things like headcount to try to gauge how big they are depending on the industry. Obviously, like a manufacturing company, that's going to be more dependent on headcount, where a SaaS company might be really valuable and might have 5 people.
Right.
But well, that'll be interesting to get into the targeting. So let's hop into cold email. Maybe so you went through the workshop that we dropped, where I went through what is a cold email, what works, what doesn't work, and then I went through the anatomy of the cold email, and then gave you multiple templates. So I'm kind of excited to see what you pulled together based on the templates that we shared. Maybe I'll just shut up and let you kind of walk through some examples and share whatever it is that you're comfortable sharing, and we can try to give you some feedback.
Sure. So one of the cold emails that I drafted, I kind of went totally off script. My thinking in doing that is, one, I totally understand that when someone's getting an unsolicited contact from you, you have 5 to 10 seconds of their attention, if that, right? You got to get to the point, you got to make it now. But I see a little bit of a different side to it in terms of, especially if it's very targeted messaging. So one of the emails that I drafted was for the manufacturing industry. And so at the very least, I want someone to open the email. Ideally, they'll read it, they buy into the messaging, and they give us a call, right? But if they read the message, it rubs them the wrong way, they might be calling you and say, don't ever contact me again, or they'll hurt your brand online or something like that. So what I want to do is try to at least share some useful information with them in an email, so that even if they read it and don't respond, they'll still read it, learn something, or take something that they can think about in their business. So that might be a little bit of a longer play in terms of trying to get somebody signed up, but I think overall that would help cultivate the brand at least. So even if you're not getting responses to those emails, it's still cultivating your brand a bit by saying, oh, this is a guy that sent me a useful piece of information. I don't mind getting these from that company or that person, and maybe they'll even want to forward it along, rather than some of the shorter copy that is just I do exit planning. Are you ready to sell? I have buyers.
Yeah.
It'd be rare for someone to pass that sort of information along. So
if you don't mind, I'll just comment on that. I think that's spot on. First of all, obviously, I try to preach deal origination as a long game, and I'm continuously surprised by how many Main Street brokers, definitely not that you're a Main Street broker, but how many Main Street brokers don't. They just want the leads. But with your comment on, it sounds like you're talking about not burning your brand, right? Which in M&A is so important, because it doesn't matter. You could have the best cold email in the world. 99% of the owners are not going to talk to you at first pass, right? This is the way the industry works. You're talking about evaluation of their most valuable asset, right? Something that they may have been building for the past 30 years. So you don't want to burn your brand. That's rule number 1, right? You don't want to rule yourself out of a transaction. So the cold emails, this is where we've seen a lot of brokers get in trouble with agencies when they're just optimized for the reply. We're going to get you X amount of sit downs every week, right? They're going to go hard and they're going to try to get that reply. And they might be burning your brand. Like, sure, to your point, you might get flagged as spam, or you might get an angry phone call or an angry email. But more often than not, what we see is you're just burning your brand and you have no idea, right? So your first cold email is your first impression. And at the risk of sounding cliche, you don't get a second chance to make that first impression. So you are thinking about this from a relationship building standpoint, right? And I try to encourage people to think about it as if you're in a conference, right? If you're just going to do that quick pitch that you just went through, top to bottom of the funnel. This is who I am. I have buyers. Do you want to chat? Think about it like if you're walking into a conference and you're doing that's not going to work.
Not a good look.
So, yeah. So, get in there, state your value proposition, make it clear who you are, what you do, and hopefully you get the hook and you get the conversation. But if not, next week we'll go through one of the tools that we really like where, if they are getting repeat opens or you're getting that activity, you'll be able to see that, right? You don't have to actually get the reply or the phone call, but hopefully you've got some tracking mid to bottom of the funnel where you'll be able to see if they're actually taking interest in your messaging. But So I'll shut up. Let's get your copy and let's run through it.
Sure. Let's see. Should I do a screen share or should I talk through it? What's going to be the most useful?
Whatever you want to do. You can talk through it. If you want to do a screen share, we can walk through it. I'm just going to give you feedback on the fly, whether it's valuable or not.
All right. Let's see.
Courtney, feel free to chime in here. I know you're on mute, but
yeah, of course.
Okay, did that work? You guys see the screen?
No, I still see you. We're using StreamYard here, and I don't know if you have two monitors, but sometimes it's easier to share with two monitors on StreamYard.
Yeah, I have two monitors, but this
maybe.
I saw something there. I don't know if that was you, Adam, or Tyler.
There we go. Boom. All right.
Sweet. Okay.
Perfect.
Do I need to zoom in at all, or can you guys read that? Is that the right size?
Yep.
Okay.
If you can zoom in a little bit, Courtney, what do you think? Can you see that?
Yeah, that looks great.
I think knowing the median age of the business broker out there, if you wouldn't mind zooming in as much as possible, because they're going to have to see this on their monitor, I think that would probably make the workshop valuable.
Yep. All right. So what I did was basically, as we just discussed, doing kind of a longer form email. I don't love the subject line that I have at the moment, the diversify your revenue. I think it needs to be a little bit more eye-catching than that. So definitely open to feedback on there. But this email essentially comes from an issue that I've noticed in working with a lot of manufacturing companies. The San Diego market area has a lot of aerospace defense companies. We're kind of a military community out here because we have, Marine Corps base, the Navy SEALs train at Coronado. And so we're kind of a hub for aerospace and defense, and therefore a lot of manufacturing as well. So in the last 4 or 5 valuations that I've done for manufacturing businesses, I think each one had one customer at least that made up over 50% of their revenue. And it's a problem when you go to sell a business because it just increases the risk profile. So the email that I would be sending out to manufacturing businesses in general is there's a huge problem in the manufacturing industry that nobody is talking about that can significantly affect your business. It's kind of the hook, you have this problem, but you might not know about it yet. The good news is the fix is in your hands. Customer concentration can take a growing business, install productivity, reduce profit, and increase headaches. So trying to get them to be interested, might sound like their business, or they might be somewhat familiar with that term, but may not know specifically what it means. And feel free to cut me off at any time if you want to add some notes.
Go for it.
Or if the commentary is too much. So then kind of the question for them to make them think. Do you have a customer that makes up more than 25% of your revenue? Chances are margins are low, time commitment is high, they pay slow and demand the highest level of service. You have a customer concentration issue. So drawing their attention to the warning signs of getting a customer that's dominating their time and their energy. The bottom line is that manufacturing companies need to better diversify their clients. The number one issue that owners of manufacturing businesses face when selling their business is that the equipment is worth more than the business. The root of this problem is that manufacturing companies tend to plateau when they have a client that makes up a significant portion of their revenue. The owner's attention shifts from working on the business and landing new clients to making sure that the one client is happy. My team has recognized this issue and is working with other manufacturing companies in San Diego to provide them with three things. One, a free business valuation so that owners can understand what their business is worth if nothing in the business changes. Two, a list of recommendations to optimize the value of the business. And three, metrics on what your business could be worth if recommendations are followed and profitability targets are hit. It's never too early to plan for the future. Then prior proper planning prevents poor performance. If you're ready to learn more about, or if you'd like to learn more about our company, check out our About Us page. If you're ready to understand what your business is worth and how you can increase it, give me a call. So that's kind of the crux of everything, and some of the rationale behind it as well.
Got it. All right. And so, so when you put this together, were you trying to follow some of the templates that I had and the workshop that I went through, or were you just kind of taking your expertise and the opportunity as you see it and trying to condense it into a well thought out approach?
I definitely loosened the templates quite a bit, just because when you start writing something like this, you realize you have to share a bit more information. And again, my goal with this is at the very least to provide business owners information on a potential issue that they might not be aware of. So at the very least, it's an email that educated them on something about their business. And then for the second piece of that, obviously, I'd love for them to give us a call. I'd love to do evaluation for them so that they can plan, the sale of their business. So this one's a little bit more off script. I have another one that's kind of right out of your playbook that we can go after this, which is definitely a bit shorter and to the point. It doesn't share as much information, but it's just kind of two different approaches.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. So let's. Do you mind just kind of scrolling back up to the top and we can take a look at it? We'll just try to wing this piece by piece if that works.
Sure.
All right. So starting with the top here, I think you've got. Let me. So you've got diversify your revenue. I can see that. Courtney, can you still see that?
Yes, I can see it.
You can read that? Yeah. All right. Hopefully when we have this on full screen, people will be able to read this, but I'm just going to repeat everything because I don't know if people are going to be able to read this.
Sure.
So subject, you have diversify your revenue. That's not bad, right? It's three words. It's short, but it doesn't say anything that's going to make me open it, right? I don't like if I'm a manufacturing owner, I don't know that you know who I am or what I do, anything along those lines. So, I mean, if you had something like, the tool that we're going to show you this week, you have variables. So if you're not familiar with variables, a variable is something that is custom information that you can insert into an email. So for you, Tyler, like first name, when I say first name, that's going to show up as Tyler, right? Mm-hmm. So using that analogy, if you had something like, Tyler, question about customer concentration, right? Or, company name, your customer concentration. We can work on that, but something using a variable, whether it's you have three clear variables as I see it. You've got the name of your prospect, you've got the industry, manufacturing, and then you'll have company name if you use the data that we show you. So something like Tyler, question about customer concentration. And then the pre-header line, like your next line is, there is a huge problem in the manufacturing industry that nobody is talking about that can significantly affect your business. The pre-header line, which shows in the inbox, you've got the title, and then you've got that first line. Your pre-header line, in this case, is going to be, there is a huge problem in the manufacturing industry. So I can see manufacturing maybe, right? Maybe just seeing that. But if you could say something about, I work with, I see manufacturing companies that are over, with customer concentration. I see manufacturing companies focused on one customer, serving one customer all the time. I'll tighten this up and I'll put some notes in the workshop feed, but basically trying to insert, you're speaking to manufacturing. If you can drop the company name and first name, that's really what's going to get your open rate from, with this, probably less than, I hate to say it, but like less than 10%, probably up to like over 50%. If you can get first name, company name, industry, and somehow lump in that customer concentration problem into that first line. So is customer concentration an issue for company name? Something like that in the first line, where you could have customer concentration in manufacturing, right? That could be your title, and then you could say is is customer concentration for company an issue? Something like that, where I see it. So in the inbox, before I even open it, I see all that personalization. You're missing all of that here. And then generally speaking, you clearly know about a lot about it, right? A lot about the industry, a lot about your end target prospect. You're trying to put way too much into this email. So this could be like a great about page or landing page on your website, where if you touch on this, like you state the problem, your solution, and a hook, and then in your signature you have a link like more about customer concentration in manufacturing companies. That's the approach where you're going to get the results, right? So if you're running a cold email program, what do you want them to do? You want them to open the email. That's the subject in the pre-header. You want them to actually read the email. Right now it's too long, right? You want to do bite size. When you see people posting on LinkedIn and it's like elementary school writing, right? They say like the average, you should be aiming for like a 5th grade reading level on social. I hate that, but that is what it is. People are breaking up those lines so it's digestible, so people can read it very, very quickly. That's what's going to get the desired effect. The desired effect is actually reading it, and then your call to action, which should be, getting a phone call, getting a reply, in this case. And if they're not ready for a reply, having that proof that would kick out to a landing page that would convey all this kind of information. It shows that you're clearly working with manufacturing companies that you know the business. So subject, try to personalize that as much as you can. First line, personalize that as much as you can. You've got manufacturing, you've got customer concentration in manufacturing, which shows intimate knowledge of the pain points that your customer might be experiencing. And then if you pull out everything you've done there with the problem, maybe you tie valuation to this, right? Like I'm always working with manufacturing companies, like if they're overly reliant on one client, that's going to be reflected in the valuation. Buyers are going to discount their valuation because it's a risk. Can you fit that into the problem? Right? Do you know that customer concentration will decrease the value of your company by up to 50%, something like that? That sounds a little salesy, but if you're able to slip something in like that, I'm still reading. If I'm experiencing that problem, I'm running a manufacturing company, I'm still reading. Solution is, I just closed out an engagement with XYZ manufacturing company, and they were experiencing these problems, right? Boom, boom, boom. We worked with them to, diversify their customer base, prepare their, list of buyers, and work with them confidentially to shortlist and coordinate the auction, something like that, right? Again, we'll tighten it up, and I don't think we'll be able to share the copy because you won't want to share the copy with the general community, but between you and I, we'll get a tight cold email there that clearly says, we have the problem, here's the solution I offer, and then a simple line along the lines of, whatever your close is, you could have something, you don't want to go straight for an acquisition offer there, but trying to get an intro chat, right? So we have multiple templates. If you've used mine, I'm curious to see what you've actually put in there. Sorry if you guys can hear the motorcycle out there. I've got the window open. And then I would strongly recommend for you if you could slip in your social proof, whether it's an article that you read in this piece, if you could take this and put it in a LinkedIn article and have that in your signature, or if you have a website and you have a manufacturing page, something that goes through this and it has the clear opportunity to schedule a meeting with you, like on the fly right there, right? So the best thing to do if it's on your web page would be to embed your Calendly. So it's just an embed. It's not even a button that you have to click. It's just the embed. It's right there. And then if it's a LinkedIn article, just make sure that you have all your contact info and your website, et cetera.
Okay. Yeah, I've been writing a lot of blog posts for the business, and I think that might be a bit apparent with what ended up in the email. I'm thinking more giving information than making sure that they get in touch. But I have one as well that uses your template, and so we can definitely go through that one as well as a different example.
It's tough because you clearly know the pain points, right? I mean, you know the industry, you know, like you're communicating a good pain point, but you almost know too much. You have to dumb it down. You have to make it simple and tight. And the goal is just to get them to click through and then read your page that shows you really know your stuff, right? So you can do that in two ways: the subject, problem, solution, ask, signature with the link that's clearly relevant to the problem you just touched on. Then they click through and then they see, oh, wow, this is where Tyler clearly knows his stuff because he's written that blog post about customer concentration and how that impacts valuation. Yeah, I'll have a chat with him, right? That would be the 1-2 punch here, where that first punch isn't this haymaker. You just want kind of a quick jab.
Sure.
And I just have a bit of feedback as well, Tyler, if you don't mind, and Adam, don't mean to chime in, but
no, please.
One thing that stood out for me, oftentimes when I approach a cold email, I try to not make it. I try to, instead of siloing that issue. So the sentence that stood out for me is, you have a customer concentration issue. If I'm a business owner or whatever it may be, if whomever you're targeting, I read that and I kind of take offense to that. I'm like, who is this guy? I don't know him. How does he know my business? What if, perhaps this isn't a problem I'm having right now? So I understand where you're coming from in stating that, but perhaps directing it in a way that's more of, here's the issue and not your issue, and here's how I'm going to help that particular problem, versus you have a customer concentration issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So making it less siloed and more of, this is an industry problem that together we're going to help resolve.
Would you say that by changing it to your business has a customer concentration issue, does that deflect enough, or do you think I should just rework that, how that whole portion is phrased?
Well, I mean, in the next paragraph, you say it pretty well. You say the bottom line is that manufacturing companies need to better diversify their clients. So I would say something maybe to make it more broad. We're seeing in this particular industry, many manufacturing companies having an issue diversifying their clients. Boom. Instead of, so it makes it more of a, oh, so I'm not in this alone. I'm not just having a customer concentration issue. Many people are having this problem, and this is why I should look into it. This is why I should give you a call.
Got it. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, it was. It's kind of a fine line to walk, because it's, you're basically saying you've stopped doing sales and marketing for your business. How could you have done that? But you're trying to soften it in a way where it's not just you. It's understandable. It's human nature that you have this big thing you want to keep happy. So yeah,
exactly. And being in that niche, they're going to flag it as though I need to pay attention to this. He brings up a good point that if I want to stay ahead, if this is an issue across many manufacturing companies, if I want to stay ahead, I got to give this guy a call, versus, wait, I just have the issue. This is just a problem with my company. It can, depending on who you are, can come across less inviting and more offensive. So try to make it this is an issue that many people are having, but here's how I'm going to help you overcome that, so that you're not part of that stat.
Yep. Understood.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I think in your solution too, however you rephrase it, I think your points are spot on, Courtney. But like his line, the bottom line is that manufacturing companies need to better diversify their clients. However you phrase that, your solution doesn't have to be like, we're going to help you diversify your clients. Your solution can be, we're going to help you articulate this to the right buyer so you don't suffer when it comes to your valuation, right? So, we help you take your company to market and communicate this to the buyers in the right way so that your valuation isn't negatively impacted, something like that, where you're showing the expertise and the experience. And that's something that owners have not thought of, right? So they might not, like to Courtney's point, they might be offended if someone's coming and saying like, I'm going to show you how to diversify your clients. Like, well, who the hell are you? I've been growing this business for 30 years. But if you come in and say like, I see this all the time, I know how to communicate this to buyers, so it's not going to impact your valuation, then I'm listening, right? So making sure that your solution is not stepping on their turf and questioning their expertise, but really highlighting the unique position that you're in as a business broker in manufacturing to be able to, articulate their situation, which you see all the time, the right way to the buyers so that it's not going to affect the valuation.
Yep. Okay. So I got one more. I think we're probably running a little low on time, but this one's a bit shorter. Let me get it all on one line or one page for us. So this one's pretty much right out of your playbook. The email is, hope all's well with your HVAC business. I imagine you feel a lot of messages, so I'll be brief. I help HVAC companies with exit planning, and I work to identify the best possible transaction for your business. The market for HVAC businesses is extremely active, and it's a true seller's market. We'd love to connect to learn about your timeline. Even if you aren't ready to sell today, I would encourage you to take advantage of our free business valuation.
Got it. All right. So yeah, that's I don't know if that's right out of my playbook. I think I see that you definitely kind of stuck to the template and it's shorter, more to the point. One thing is there's no subject, right? So I know, how much time do you have here? You got to hop off in 3 minutes.
No, I'm good. I want to be sensitive to your guys' time, so it's up to you guys.
Yeah, we'll give it. Let's go through this. I want to make sure that that we take care of you here. So, first off, I'm just gonna be open. I can't critique an email without a subject, right? Because again, like I really want to think about this. First, you want to get them to open it. Then you want to get them to read it. Then you want to get them to take the desired action. So without that subject, I'm kind of flying blind. So if you're going to target HVAC here, you'd want something, HVAC valuations or something personalized, something that isn't just generalized, right? With a subject, you don't want to piss anybody off. You want to keep it bland, but you want to speak to their niche. You want to make sure that it's something that is standing out in the inbox. So whatever that is for HVAC, maybe you're targeting HVAC in Southern California, so you can slip in location and HVAC. But the more personalized you can get, and again, we'll do that this week, the better on the subject.
Okay. It's getting hot out there for sellers. Kind of a play on HVAC, or I don't know if a pun is the right place or the subject's the right place for a pun, but something that kind of relates and kind of ties into the email. Yeah.
I like it. It's just risky with a subject, right? Because whenever you go humor, if you're not nailing it, like you risk alienating a buyer. If you can, if we can go back and forth and try to come up with something where it's like, it's HVAC is getting hot, right, or something like that. But it's risky. So with a subject, you want to just show, hey, I'm speaking to you, right? It's personalized, and hope all's well with your HVAC business. That's one. It's okay. I know I threw some templates in there that have that, and you use that. But if you had something like first name, my team focuses on HVAC, and brought company name to my attention, right? Something where, again, when the pre-header, variable, right? What can you want it to be natural, but how can you cram in that personalization in that first line, because it counts for so much, so that I'm seeing, like, maybe that's where your little HVAC line could be, right? Like, HVAC is getting hot with private equity right now. Something, SoCal HVAC is, whatever that is. If it shows the personalization, then you're going to get the open. That's the goal for that first line. Hope all is well with your HVAC business. I personally am probably skipping that. I mean, Courtney,
Yeah, too general.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, and again, for this one, we're just focused on the intro email for this. We're not even going to get into follow-ups. I'll do another session on that with what to do with follow-up messaging. But, moving on, if you have the problem and solution, right? So what do you have here? You've got, I help HVAC companies with exit planning. I work to identify the best possible transaction for your business. Best possible transaction, that shouldn't be capitalized.
Well, it's that would potentially be a link, because we have a page on our website that outlines what the best possible transaction in general is. Obviously, we can't say it's X price, but it's taking into consideration tax treatment and all those types of things.
Got it. So that brings up a good point. On your first email, right? When I talk about 60% open rates, part of that is not having too many links in your first email. So oftentimes a great cold email has 0 links, nothing. Okay. And that's going to land in the inbox. So if you are going to put a link in, you want to be strategic. And I always say, aim for social proof. So maybe this is it. If it's best possible transaction for your business, but this leaves out any opportunity to, link to tombstones for HVAC or your article on HVAC or whatever you're using that's clear social proof. So, on this one, this is good, but I keep thinking about your initial comments about, your boutique. You want to be up market. You don't want to go in with a salesy approach, and you're pushing them for their seller timeline, and you've just met in the conference, right? So instead of just going hard into that, maybe you've got something more along the lines of, like, I help HVAC companies in Southern California recapitalize, right? Because you're looking at mid market. So instead of sell, like, maybe it's something like recapitalize or exit, right? Or coordinate buyer auction, something that's speaking to that larger company off Main Street, right? So recapitalize or coordinate buyer auction, something like that. Identify best strategic fit buyers. Something clearly shows that you're focused on that niche, right? Identifying best strategic fit buyers for your HVAC, right? For your HVAC business, something like that. And then, social proof, your solution, if you don't want to go into a problem, could be, if you're out there and you're actually managing HVAC, just go straight into that, right? So we've managed multiple HVAC transactions this year, and if you have a link to those, or if you have tombstones.
Yeah, I mean, and I was just going to say, it's okay sometimes to just get right to the point, and even state that, right as you speak. So say, I'm going to cut right to the chase, or say, let's cut right to the chase. I help such and such, or here's whom I've helped in the past. Name dropping can be an advantage depending on who your previous clients have been. But sometimes it's okay. People don't necessarily want to read, 10 paragraphs, but they want to know that, okay, this guy I can relate to. He's relatable. He sounds like a genuine kind of person. He's not in it just for the sale. He's not pushing me in any way, shape, or form in any particular direction. He wants to chat. So the more that you can be relatable to the person that you're emailing, the more likely they're going to say, okay, like, this isn't like the rest of the other people whose emails were just stale, right? So always try to think about whom you're targeting, the person that you're talking to. Because think of it, I know this sounds kind of weird, but think of it like you're not actually emailing them, like you're actually trying to have a conversation with them. And I think that'll help with making it feel lesser of you're trying so hard to get their attention, and more like, yeah, I mean, I just basically left them a nice little voicemail kind of thing, and they'll get right back to me because, they're going to see it. They're going to listen to it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Keeping it casual, right? Just put yourself in the shoes of your end prospect. Does it feel like a one-to-one conversation in that way, right? And if you've got the chops, if you're working with HVAC companies, you can just do exactly what Courtney said, where you kind of lead in and just say who you are, what you do, and then if it's relevant for you, I'd love to hop on a call and discuss it further. Would you mind if I shoot over a few times? That's the other thing that I cover in the templates, where instead of like would love to connect to learn about your timeline, if you're optimizing this for the reply, you want to have a question mark. So whatever it is, ask, make it feel almost a little uncomfortable. Like, yes, everything Courtney's saying, I agree 100%. You want to keep it natural. You want to go in one-to-one, but on the ask, you almost want to leave it a little bit awkward if they don't reply, right? If they're thinking about it. So if you have something like, would you mind if I shoot over a few times, question mark, then if they reply, then you can set it up. Right now you have so many, especially with Main Street, so many brokers who have discovered Calendly, and they're so excited just to put a Calendly link. Is like, if this is you, please go ahead and schedule a time. That's not going to work, especially with the type of company you're going after. So if you have a nice casual question mark, would you mind if I shoot over a few times? That's nice. That's a nice way to close it. So with your HVAC, you could just say something along the lines of, we've managed multiple HVAC transactions this quarter. We've got ongoing engagements with owners and management teams working to get their HVAC positions, their HVAC businesses into a sellable position, something like that. If this is relevant for you, would love to hop on an intro call and discuss further. Would you mind shooting over a few times? If I shot over a few times, something like that. So it's tough when you're not whittling this down into a nice, concise, cold email, and we're just kind of doing this on the fly. But I think you're getting the subject, intro, pain, solution is you as a qualified authority, hook, and then in the signature, that's where you want to link out to that HVAC social proof in this case, right? So whatever that is.
Okay. Yeah, it's we've done mailings in the past, just the mass mailers, and so we've been thinking about getting more into the cold email stuff, and so we're definitely still new for it. So definitely appreciate the input on the templates and the workshop that you guys did the other day, and then obviously while I think it would be very helpful to have other people in this sort of call or this sort of webinar or whatever format that you guys decide, it's also great to get kind of the two-on-one feedback, because it's very, very specific to what I need. So definitely really appreciate that. But I'm sure that getting other brokers that are involved as well that handle HVAC businesses and can all kind of brainstorm on this sort of stuff would be, would definitely see the value in that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we really appreciate you stepping up and putting yourself out there for this first one. I know we're stressing collaboration, but there's there's an element of competition, obviously, with brokers as well. So we do appreciate you stepping up and giving us your fine-tuned copy. But I guarantee you that what you wind up with is going to be very different than what we just ran through. So hopefully we can help you get there. This has been a big experiment so far with the community in terms of collaboration. Brokers are absolutely busy all the time. And if there's a transaction in play, then this type of stuff is going to completely fall off the radar. So we'll definitely be doing the detailed workshop and the walkthroughs, because we've already gotten really good feedback on that. This piece is still kind of a question for me. And Courtney and I were chatting prior and kind of brainstorming, and we'll see where we land on this. But it's gonna be based on your feedback, Tyler, right? And the feedback from the people in the community. Whatever the community members think is valuable, that's where we're gonna land. And right now, my gut tells me it's gonna be a lot of very specific walkthroughs and examples and templates, and people can hop in whenever they want. And then we'll have these collaboration sessions on an ongoing basis. And if you want to hop in, you can. It'll give the opportunity to meet some other people who are in the community. but it's tough with brokers. People aren't going to just, you're in California, right? I mean, this was, that's right in the middle of your working day. So we appreciate you hopping in.
Yeah, well, I got some good notes, and so I'm definitely going to go back and refine some of this stuff, and maybe I'll send you a follow up with what I end up on, and if obviously you have any notes, I'm very open to that. So I really very sincerely appreciate your time and helping me work through this stuff.
Yeah, well, likewise. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited you're on for you're hooked for 12 months. So hopefully between now and then, we just completely set you up with a full funnel. But everything you're talking about with cold email will roll over into LinkedIn. So if you're running a program on cold email, ideally you have the data to be able to then do something on LinkedIn to then be able to have them in the nurturing funnel. So bit by bit, hopefully we get you a full funnel over the next 12 months. That's the goal.
It sounds great to me.
Awesome.
Thanks,
All right,
Tyler.
Courtney. Yeah. Courtney, I hope I didn't step on your toes there.
Not at all. No.
All right, great. Well, then let's leave it at that. Tyler, we'll let you get back to work. We know you just popped in midday. So we appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.